All right, welcome back. And like I said, shout out to Hellcats. Welcome for being here. I always have to make sure the audio is good. And as you can see, welcome back. As you can see, the audio was gonna be bad, but thank God I caught that. But welcome back. I'm excited to have you here, and if you're watching a rebroadcast, I'm also excited to have you. We're gonna have some fun. Today we're gonna do the contract breakdown. This is the part that a lot of people struggle with when it comes to wholesaling. Wholesaling is essentially the idea of buying and selling contracts. Well, maybe more precisely, acquiring and selling the right to purchase a property, and that's secured by contract. So this is a very important part of the conversation when it comes to wholesaling. I have a few other things we're going to cover. We're going to cover the stock market today. We're going to cover the updates with PropStream, and then a few other things that I want to bring you up to date with. So with that being said, let's get started. All right, awesome. There is an update that came to PropStream. I want to cover that. I want to cover the market today. I want to cover obviously the topic of the day, which is real estate contracts. I'm actually gonna show you the same contract that I've used it for a long time, for 15 years. Okay. 16 years to be precise. Okay, since 2005, same contract. Nothing changes. Now, the contract I'm going to share with you, I use it all the time. There have been situations where we get to closing and we had to update the contract. We had what you call an addendum to a contract. But it's usually not because my contract was bad. Okay, it's usually because of other reasons. Maybe the bank or a lender or the payoff wants something added, maybe some kind of clause added to a contract before we could close. But again, usually it's an issue that doesn't stop us from doing a deal, and it doesn't stop us from closing the deal. So usually we fix this maybe within 24 hours before closing. So it's not really something you have to worry about up front. All right. So now with that being said, I think I want to go ahead and share my screen as usual. I come here Mondays and Thursdays at 4 p.m. at the market closing, partly because I also wanted to review the market with you and then extract real life lessons from what the market is saying. Let me just go ahead and make sure that we can see what we need to see. Where is it? Okay, there you go. I wanted to share my screen with you. Awesome. All right, so you can see my screen right now. This is the software that I use to run the whole business. Honestly, maybe there's some other softwares as related to scaling and things like that. But if you're getting started, you haven't closed your first deal, or if you've closed less than 5 deals, this is the only software that you should be zoned in on. Nothing else. Everything else will only complicate the process for you, and that's a guarantee. Okay, everything else will complicate the process for you. And Hellcat says, can I use it here in Indiana? Absolutely, yes you can. You can use it anywhere in the world as long as you're looking to assess and analyze United States real estate. Okay, as long as you're looking to analyze United States real estate, then this software will work for you. Okay. And you can, if you want a 7 days free trial, just go through the link that you see at the very top and the bottom of the screen. As a matter of fact, let me turn on my ticker. All right, and that's EmpireBigData.com. All right, so this is the software, everything. Now, there's an update that came to the software not too long ago. Okay. Now, speaking of Indiana, I think it's only fair that I use Indiana as, as the state of the day, property state of the day, right? So we're just going to go to Zillow and go to Zillow.com, and we're going to go to Indiana. Indianapolis in Indiana. Let's just go to that's a decent city, right? And we're going to look at this property. This property is for sale right now, $279,000, $900. All right, 4533 Carrollton. So let me click into that. So I'm actually going to use this property. It looks like it's brand newly rehabbed, right? So this is a good example. So we can literally go ahead and just make this what do we call it? The property of the day, right? We can make this the property of the day. Okay, so now let's go ahead and look at this 4533 Carrollton. That's with a double R and double L. Okay, 4533 Carrollton. So it's not just investors that can use the software. If you're in a position where you have to personally okay, see, once it comes up as auto populate, you want to click that. Okay, it's always going to be the auto populate. If you free text, there's a chance that it will come up with error. Okay, but you free text the first few letters, maybe the number, address, and the first three letters of the address. You keep until you see the auto populate and you click on it, right? So this is the property we're talking about right here. Right off the bat, we can see what's going on in Indianapolis and Indiana. We can see there's 1,200 properties on the market in just that. Sounds like that, just that one city, right? There's 607 properties in pre-foreclosure, just based off of, and based off of my personal formula of filters. There are 215 properties I can personally go after, based off of my personal filters. And my personal filters is something I cover in a little bit more details in our courses, but it's really not that difficult. I'm not saying that just so you can join. I actually don't need you to join if you could just follow what I'm doing here on this channel. Okay, joining is actually more work for me, believe it or not. Okay, and I make more money when you don't join. I want you to get that through your mind. All right, but the filters, everything is here. Basically, there are some preferences that I have personally based on my personal experiences. I'll share some of them with you, but for now, what we're covering is the update that PropStream has, and that has to do with the fact that they're not able to show you sold properties, and they're not able to in states that allow that in the first place. So there's something called the non-disclosure states and some that are disclosure states. Okay, I'm not gonna get into details of what those states are. Bottom line right now is that all the states right now are effectively non-disclosure states, which means you cannot have information about sold properties from the MLS. That's all it means. You can have information about sold properties from the county government house, okay, meaning on the record, on the county records, right? But with regards to particularly on from the MLS, which is the multiple listing system, which is something that real estate agents, licensed real estate agents, have exclusive access to, you're not able to get access to those anymore. Okay, so it's very important that you understand that. Okay, now I think it's good news as far as I'm concerned. A lot of people over the past 24 to 48 hours, they went scatter, right? There's a lot of news about, does this mean we can't? No, it doesn't mean anything. In the first place, you're not supposed to be looking at the market from a place of short-term anything, okay? You're not supposed to be assessing the market from a place of anything short-term. So, but if you're looking to access the real estate sales records from the county, it may take up to 3 months before it's recorded. So if the closing happens today, it may take 60, 90 days, or 100 days before it shows at the county record a house, right? In the first place, you're not supposed to be using instant sales anyway. You're supposed to use things that have proven test of time, right? So again, and in addition to that, the alternative is you can use that. You can look at what the listings on the market are saying, right, and use that as an alternative. So what happened is that when I first started about 15 years ago, you would need to have access to the MLS. And what I did at the time was I got licensed. I'm no longer licensed in the state of New Jersey, but I became licensed for years. And all I did was basically used it to access the market and to be able to have access to sold comps. Some of you are like, what is a comp? Well, comp is a comparable, okay, to a piece of property. So for example, the subject property we're looking at right now is 4533 Carlton Avenue, right? That is our subject property. But we need other properties that fit that are comparable to it in order to determine the value of the subject property. So in this software, we're able to do that in a very clean way. You click on details and you go under comparables, right? And so before, there were two sources of sold comps, right? There were two sources of sold comps, and that was basically the MLS and the public records, okay? So you see where it says note, in public records, sales prices are estimated due to non-disclosure state. So all third-party softwares now, so they went to work, basically the real estate brokers, licensed real estate brokers went to work, and they wanted to block people like you and I from seeing these records. But you know, it's just like taxi drivers in New York City fighting the existence of Uber drivers. It's inevitable. Uber is here to stay. They could fight, but it's only for so long, right? So again, the way business is being done in real estate is, bottom line, the idea of secluded, exclusive access to certain information only to licensed agents is a thing of the past. There's going to be lashbacks back and forth until they finally realize that there's no winning that game, right? So this is one of those lashbacks, and it's okay. But again, like I said in the first place, you're not supposed to be stuck on any one of source of data in order to do your business. The way business works for us is that we still do the business. So you can see here, they're saying 305 estimated, 350 estimated. Those estimated prices are pretty close to what the value of the properties are, okay? So that's all you really need in order to estimate the value of a property. So you're estimating value of property so you can know what to give as an offer. Why are you giving an offer? Okay, now let's do a quick definition, a quick refresh definition of what wholesale real estate is. Wholesale real estate is a type of real estate investing, okay? That's all it is, okay? Now give me 1 second. If you're if you're basically, let me see here. Let me just say thank you to Scorpion Bradford. Thank you so much. And again, thank you to Hellcat. All right, so do me a favor, if you're enjoying the stream, the one way you can pay me back is let's see, is by helping me hit the subscribe, like, and share. All right, so that's basically how you can pay me back. So make sure you're hitting the like button. Just hit it once and you're good to go. And please share this with anyone you know may find value in it. And don't forget to subscribe. Now, with that being said, what was I saying? I was talking about the fact that now everything is public records and the prices you see here are estimated. But like I said, it's more than good enough to get you going. The beauty about this is that you're able to analyze the value of a property right here on one page, okay? You could still use sold here. And by the way, the MLS still gives us access to active listings. So you can change this, but I don't use active listings personally, okay? Now, when you're doing comparables, I always do 1 mile radius, right? 1 mile radius. This property itself, let's see if we have any information about it, okay? There's not much, so I usually just use the square footage. We do have 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, but square footage is really, for you as a wholesaler, that's really all you need. But basically, I was defining wholesale real estate. It simply means you find discounted properties. How do we do that? We go after homeowners who are potentially in distress situation. Who are these people? These people are essentially pre-foreclosures, vacant properties, non-owner occupied. That's tired landlords people that owe money to taxes, tax delinquencies, people that inherited properties that they really don't want, like probate, things like that. But for me personally, I love I started with pre-foreclosures. I'm in love with pre-foreclosures. If you ask me, I will always be biased when it comes to choosing pre-foreclosure or not. That's just me. Because again, because I feel like if somebody cannot afford a property, they can't afford it. That's the more so reason why they will feel the need to get rid of it. Now, does that guarantee that they always want to get rid of it? No, it doesn't. But that's a big difference when everything else is equal, right? So pre-foreclosures is where I start from. Then I will add things like it should be vacant, non-owner occupied. I don't want it to be on the market. Like, I don't want it listed with an agent. That's just a preference. Doesn't mean you can't do a deal outside of that. So, and there's about 11 different points like that I had that I stack on each other until I come up with what you saw earlier as 215 properties that will fit my criteria that I could literally go after in Indianapolis, right? Okay, so that's that. But again, for the point that I'm making here with regards to the update in PropStream still works perfectly fine. I never use active. I always use sold. Okay, pending is also okay. Okay, but I don't use But again, the source here is the public records, which means the county government, and it still works perfectly fine. It gives you when they say the estimate is pretty damn sure close to whatever it is, right? And that's the idea, right? And you're looking to estimate the value of a property anyway. So sold, I always like it to be residentials only, because I'm only dealing with residentials. This property, we know it's a residential, right? The other thing I like to see is when we go to property type, I always put it at at single family, multi to 2-4 family. I always do that. But again, I'm looking for something within the range of the particular square footage of the property, because the reason why you want to be more concerned about square footage is because these are properties that are most likely going to end up with a rehabber, a person that wants to add value to the property and resell it. So sometimes that means add the level. Sometimes that means add a unit, right? Just any way that you can make the property a little bit more productive or a little bit more valuable to the owner, right? That's the idea, right? So the square footage is really the only thing that can put limitations on that. So I always look at maybe plus 200, minus 200 within the range of 2,000 and 3,000. So for example, this one, 2,189 will be too small. So I would want to put this as 2,500. Right, this is just me. It could be anything. Okay, it could be anything. 3,000 is too far from 2,700, so I mean 3,200 is too far, so I would definitely do 2,900. All right, and then it will narrow down my list of properties here. See, it narrowed it down to 31. Right. The other thing here, you can make it a maximum of 3, since we know that this property is only 3, maximum of 3 bathrooms. Right. So what did I do? That narrowed the properties down to 17. Right. Okay, so now the other thing that we like to do, we already know, is 1 mile radius. We also like to say within 6 months of sales. Okay, within 6 months of sales. So how do I apply that? You go to here where it says date range of the sales, and you simply roll the month back 6 months. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the 6, right? And then I can see that took out about 2 properties from my list, right? So all of these properties were sold in the last 20, all 28 of these properties were sold in the last 6 months. Okay, I can decide to go back 3 months. Like, by the way, the more unpredictable the market is, the closer to today's date you want to be. So for example, in this, I'm not too familiar with Indiana, but for a lot of neighborhoods around the nation, we know that properties are being outbidded right now. There's a hyper sort of overpricing going on, because properties are selling, and there's less inventory, right? So because of such a, excuse me, let me turn off the excuse me, sorry. So because of the unpredictability going on in the market, you can decide that, hey, when the market is unstable or is not which is a factor against a market in general, it's a seller's market right now of some sorts. The buyers are overpaying in a lot of market, right? Same thing with the car business, by the way. You can roll it back to 3 months, okay? So we could say from 2022 January. Let me go back. We can say we want to go 1, 2, 3. I only want to deal with 3 months, right? And that narrows my property. Now that gives me a truer version of what's going on in the market. Now, again, you got to use discretion here. You can see here that it's saying this property sold. We're seeing average price about 352 based on square footage, average square footage of 127. And this gives you a better idea of what's happening in more recent times, right? After all, you're looking to buy a property or lock it up under a contract for an investor that will buy the property. They pay you an assignment fee as a wholesaler, or you can retain the property for yourself, for your portfolios, or to rehab, right? If you're a wholesaler, you're looking to lock it up under a contract. I'm going to show you the contract here in a few minutes, right? Lock it up under a contract. That contract gives you the right to purchase the property. You now sell that right to another person. That is wholesaling. You sell that right to purchase the property. So, for example, 352, right? 352 is the price we're seeing here, right? I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go to dealestimator.com, which is a free tool that I created for you. Dealestimator.com, okay? And it forwards you to the calculator on our website. And I'm looking to find a maximum allowable offer, right? Okay, so I use 65% rule. You could use 70% or 80%, depends on how busy your market is. And we have 352 here, right? And we know that this property, obviously this particular property doesn't need any work. I always assume there's a little bit of a small rehab. Even at that, it's estimating about 17,000. So how do I know that? It's by having conversation with the homeowner, right? So this is an actual lead, somebody showing interest, and they told me, hey, it just needs a little bit of work, or I just finished rehabbing it. Even if they tell me they just finished rehabbing it, I'm always going to hit the small rehab. If they tell me, oh yeah, it needs some work, but it's not gutted, right? Then I'll put medium rehab, right? And that estimate me at 50. It's just an estimate, so you can give an offer, right? So I'm going to say small here, right? And then it's telling me that my offer can be $207,000. It's just a simple calculator to get you moving, and you could potentially make $20,000 from this deal based off of this offer. Now, if they come back and they say, no, I will accept 221, that means you can make $10,000, right? So it's something very simple that I created for free to make life easier for you, okay? But that's it right there. So the comparable analysis tools still work, okay? Or the comparable, it still works for you as a wholesaler. It works perfectly fine. There's nothing to worry about in terms of, the only thing is that in those disclosure states, we are no longer allowed to have access to the exact number. But what I'm telling you is that you never needed the exact number in the first place. After all, everything was based on estimate, okay? And these are pretty damn good estimates, okay? So we can see more information about this property here. Let's see, they're valuing about, okay, so they're actually, the property, the asking price is $279, right? Now, could they sell this property for $352? Yes. At this same stage, maybe if I spent that $17,000 on it, maybe I can command a little bit more price, right? You never know. Remember, I estimated this based off of a particular square footage, also based on the fact that I will be offering a price based on, I would need to put some work into it. Maybe I don't like this kind of lighting, right? Maybe I can change some things around. Maybe not. Again, you can look closer. Your buyer can look closer. You can always negotiate, okay? All right. So, Scorpio, Bradford, thank you so much. I appreciate that, brother. I appreciate, I'm not sure if you're a brother or sister. I appreciate that. Thank you. All right. So let's go to, so that's it right there in terms of the updates with PropStream. You can sign up for PropStream. It's a way for you to support us as well. You can sign up through the link at the top and at the bottom of the screen, empirebigdata.com. You can sign up for a free trial, 7 days. All right. So now with that being said, I'm going to show you the contract in a second here, but I wanted us to look at the market and see what's going on in the market. So we know that today Dow lost about 150 points. Now the reason, just in case you're wondering, what does this have to do with real estate? Everything. You need to learn how to read the marketplace. Okay, one of the biggest mistakes that I see people make a lot of times is they don't know how to read the marketplace. There's a level of skill set that you build when you learn how to read the marketplace, right? When it comes to valuing a piece of property and things like that. Okay. Let's see here. Stocks fell Thursday to end a day of choppy trading that following the massive tech sell-off in the previous session. That was yesterday. That's what that means. The Dow Jones Industrial fell 171 points. S&P lost 0.2, almost 5,000 points. Okay, 15,000. That's 24 hours behavior, basically, market behavior. Why is it very important that you know this? This is just an indicator of human emotions, right? The same thing is applicable in the real estate market. And, when people feel like they're about to lose out, it increases the value of whatever they are feeling that way about. It's all emotions. It's recorded as facts after the fact. Okay, it's recorded as facts after the fact. Keep that in mind. Okay, several tech stocks continued their slide as investors continue rotating out of high valuation names. Okay, so Tesla all fell about 2%. Now Tesla, we knew that. Was it Tesla? Okay, that was Apple, but Tesla had a great run over the past few days, up to 3 days ago, I think. So I actually did a video on that. You can go ahead and check that video. Netflix fell 2%. In mega cap tech, Apple lost 1.6. That's after Apple hit like $3 trillion in valuation for the first time. The only company that's ever done that. So all of this, again, short-term behaviors. Now, this short-term behavior is getting probably a lot of people to panic, especially if they are actively day trading without the skills of day trading. Okay. Now, how does this relate back to what we were talking about? The reason why I never wanted you to see exact numbers or be obsessed with exact numbers when it comes to the comparables is because it takes away energy from what matters, the overhead picture, the overall picture of a marketplace. And that's not how you want to operate in any kind of market, in business in general, right? So Meta platforms gained 2.5%. What is Meta? I'm guessing that's Facebook, right? That's Facebook. Facebook like Instagram, Facebook and stuff like that. Investors are trying to wrap their head around what different leadership looks like. We've all been conditioned that tech is the winner all day, every day, and that is just not going to be the case this year, said Liz Young. Well, when people like Liz Young talk, they also have their own personal agenda, so I take anything they say with a grain of salt. We do know that the future is technology. There's no way around it. Okay, every human beings are obsessed with things moving faster, things moving slower. No, things moving faster, easier, simpler, right? Humans are obsessed with that direction, and there's nothing you can do about that. So I know that a lot of people want to say, okay, a high market cap, existing companies that are evergreen, they were here 60 years ago, it's BS, okay? It's just the same thing when again we're telling the real estate brokers, the traditional real estate brokers that are spending millions of dollars on lobbying to change the laws that we won't have access. It doesn't change anything. Humans are obsessed with survival, and it's just going to be what it's going to be, right? And when you know that as a business person, then you fear less, okay? You fear less about, you just always have an idea of where the direction of the market, regardless of short-term moves, right? So in the short term, there's a fall today. Techs are selling off, but again, it's the losers that are probably selling, okay? For the most part, okay? Now, outside of people that are day trading skillfully, it's the losers that are selling off, okay? Finishing out 2021, there were still a lot of investors who were overweight tech. This is a chance to really make sure that your portfolio is set up to not be overly exposed. Okay, that's a good thing. So diversifying is always a good thing to remind ourselves about. Rate sensitive stocks gained a day after minutes from the Federal Reserve December meeting revealed the central bank is getting ready to remove its economy help. Well, again, these are all short-term things that will get the market to panic, all right? So all the help are being removed. Bottom line is that the market has to be self-sustainable. We didn't need the help in the first place anyway, so it's all good. More quickly than anticipated, officials discussed reducing the Fed's balance sheet in another move to dial back its pandemic-era easy monetary policy. Right? So there's no easy money. Anytime you see easy money, you just need to understand that it's temporary anyway. Okay? All right? Why don't you deal with commercial and multi-family properties? All right, so that's a good question. Now, I do deal with multi-family properties. As a matter of fact, most of the properties I've ever dealt with is multi-family. Commercial, no. Okay, commercial is a different ball game entirely. And commercial starts from things like a house that looks like a house, but it's actually a doctor's office. It's different laws that governs those properties, and the use of the property, the property use changes the value of it and how you would evaluate such property, right? So let's just keep that at the back of my mind. So no, I tend to avoid marketing to them. I don't spend all my marketing dollars on that. But I would deal with commercial properties if it falls on my lap, which has happened before. Okay, so but I just don't market to them because again, I specialize in what I specialize. There's so many opportunities in my lane, and I stay there, and that's usually pre-foreclosures, vacant properties, and plus non-owner occupied, and that's usually because again, think about it. The game is about consistency. So if you choose to go the commercial direction, maybe you heard somewhere on YouTube somebody made $200,000, right? They just kind of tend to forget that they didn't make that $2,000 every day. Okay, so I just kind of like I stay in my lane, and that's part of business. That's part of business acumen, knowing that not all opportunities are designed for you as a person. Okay, so but in terms of marketing, basically your input into the marketplace, all you need to do is put your energy where you know there's a chance that you're going to be consistent, okay? Because the really one secret in all of this is consistency. So if you add your efforts to the part of the game where you're going to fall apart 2 months from now, or no, 2 weeks from now, not only did you fall apart with that strategy, you just took energy and resources away from what you could be doing better, right? So like I said, commercial properties, multi-family properties, no, I would absolutely do those deals. I just don't market to those deals. If that's the lane you want to choose to market to, then there's nothing wrong with it. And if you're just getting started, it's even better because that could just be your own little niche. As long as there's buyers and sellers for that product, you're going to be fine. You're probably going to learn something that I don't know, right? What I can tell you is that it's the same thing across board. The only thing that can be different, like for example, people talk about real estate in Nigeria, talk about real estate in London, in UK. It's the same thing, but the language can be different, right? The culture can be different. Terminologies can be different. Tradition, things that has to do with that location can be different from place. Even within the United States, you go from one state to another. Sometimes culture changes, right? Even within real estate. So the best thing you can do is find your lane and stick to it. And when you stick to it, other opportunities will come to you where you're at. So there's a lot of time that even rental situations from New York City will come on my lap just because people know me as the real estate person. Like opportunities that I didn't market for, right, will come on my lap. So I would definitely say that yes, in terms of disposition, I do everything. All right. What do I mean by disposition? Let me show you really quickly. In terms of if a deal falls on my lap, processing that deal and turning it to money, this part, that's stage 5 right there. Yes, I would absolutely do any type of real estate deal. I would even do mobile homes. I would do a mobile home that's not attached to the land, right? I would do lands. I just don't market directly to them because I have limited resources like the rest of human beings in the world. So I manage my resources accordingly. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. All right, so that was that on that. Federal Reserve is scaring markets with triple threat of policy tightening. Yes, they will, because again, there's free money out there. There's been free money for 2 years, or what they call easy money, right? And we know that easy monies are generally easy money are exactly what they are. They're temporary, right? And you never want to count on them. Unfortunately, because we're all in this emotions things, right? When they pump all that money into the market, all the PPP loans, all that kind of crazy stuff, it boosted the economy, or at least it helped the economy stay afloat, right? So it gives us all a false sense of, at least temporarily, a false sense of confidence in the marketplace. But it's okay. Again, if you stayed right and if you're not anxious about all this kind of free, easy money pumping into the marketplace, you would have been moving accordingly, right? So investors have been preparing for the Fed to start hiking interest rates. Okay, so we know that interest rate has been all-time low for that same reason. They also know the central bank is cutting the amount of bonds it buys each month. They also figured that eventually that tapering, meaning capping it, would lead to a reduction in the nearly $9 trillion in assets the Fed is holding, right? What they didn't expect, all three things happening at the same time. What they didn't expect was all three things happening at the same time. Yes. So if you go here, you can see that the market is in red. Okay? Red across board, right? Including low confidence. The VIX measures the confidence in the marketplace. So it is what it is. Again, these are just short-term moves. You need to stay put. You need to do what you do best. If you're building a business, all you have to do is stay building your business, right? And you will always win. Precisely because of these ups and downs, the losers will lose money in all the ups and downs. They're doing it in crypto right now too as well, okay? Well, but minutes from the Fed's December meeting released Wednesday indicated that may well be the case. The meeting summary showed members ready to not only start raising interest rates, raising interest rates will cause a panic. Tapering bond buying, which is again, it's an indication of the lowered confidence of the government in continuing to sustain people. They want the market to start sustaining itself right now, but also engaging in a high-level conversation about reducing holdings of treasury and mortgage-backed securities. While the moves will be in the those are the three things right there. All right, those are the three things I think: raising interest, tapering, bond buying, and the holding of reducing the holdings of all these securities, right? While the moves will be in the interest of fighting inflation, yes, fighting inflation is something that is long term, right? In the short term, we can see that when you print money, meaning easy money in the marketplace, eventually somebody's going to have to pay the cost of that, and that's what inflation is, right? So if you want to fight it, then you have to pull back the government helps. Okay, as the job market heals, the jolt of a Fed triple threat of tightening sent the market into a tailspin. Okay, so they call it tailspin because this is just news. That's what they do. They hype news for no reason. It's just headlines. Okay, bottom line, maybe it's not really headlines. Somebody's biting into this and selling off today. Obviously, that's what we saw. The red, right? The results saw stocks give back their Santa Claus rally gains. That's sad, right? So if you've paid attention to what I did on this channel in the past few days to 2 weeks or so, I've talked about the Santa Claus rally, right? So you want to go back and review that. Again, even Santa Claus rally was short term, right? It's temporary. So there you have it. And then some as the hawkish central bank cast a haze of uncertainty over the investing landscape. So that's the reality of what's going on. I think something else I wanted to share with you was before we go into breaking down the contract here. Berkshire Hathaway is breaking out and may be on its way to becoming the next $1 trillion company. Let's take a look at that. Let's see. Oh, that's just a headline. I'm trying to see if I can link to. Okay, let me refresh. Oh, they're making me subscribe. Yeah, whatever. But anyway, Berkshire Hathaway, let me see if I can go direct to it from here. I don't know the ticker symbols. There you go. I think that's it right there. Okay, is it B or A? I'm not sure if it's B or A. Oh, okay. So let's see that here. Market cap is 4K. So this is B. We're looking for A. BRKA. Let me try this. There you go. All right. Yep. So okay, 704 is market cap. So let me see here. The next $1 trillion company. Okay, not 3 trillion like Apple, but just trillion. But anyway, again, another short-term move. But if we know anything about Berkshire Hathaway, right? If we know anything about Berkshire Hathaway or Warren Buffett, this guy is like almost what? How old is he? Like 100 years old? Let me see. Warren Buffett. Again, what I preach here is long term. I will always preach long term, but I always hybrid it together with he's 91 years old. Oh wow. Yeah. So I will always preach some kind of hybrid, but dominated by long term. Okay, listen, if you're engaging in anything, including real estate wholesaling, and you're not thinking long term, you're gonna fail, especially if you're started. Now when I say long term, I want you to also be engaged in business building in the short term. Look for ways you can make $30,000 in the next 3 months, in a way you can make $20,000 in the next 1 month, right? Because that will help you add more capital so that you can invest for the long term, so you can get out of the space where people are just generally hyper anxious, anxiety driven type of business building, right? You definitely want to pay attention. So I mean, this guy started like when he was in his 30s. So if we're going to talk about any news with Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett, obviously it's a mix of understanding long term, high value, high quality market products and things like that. Okay, so just wanted to put that in there as part of the lessons today. So without any further ado, let's get into the contract for sale. This contract is essentially what I've used over and over and over and over. Okay, and I want to break down it's a 3 pages contract. Okay, you could call it. It's 3 pages, yeah. And when you get to dealing with real estate agents and you're trying to deal with properties on the market, they may insist that you use the standard real estate contract for that state, right? This is why I do not encourage going after those kind of properties. I encourage going after off-market deals. Okay, what does off-market deals look like? Okay, so let me just clear this really quickly. Let's go back to Indianapolis. Okay, Indianapolis in Indiana, right? So we can see all the data here. And if we go under filter, I have other videos showcasing how to use this. So if you want to see more on how to use it, keep following me. And also, once you log in and you have a membership here, again, you can take a 7 days free trial with the link at the top of the screen, EmpireBigData.com. Once you are doing that, then you can, when you set owner occupied, no, like I said earlier. Well, not only that, I always go with pre-foreclosures. Let's see here, pre-foreclosures, right? Non-owner occupied vacant properties. You can go on the MLS status and say no, you don't want it to be on the market, right? So you can also go here under property characteristics. I always say residential, and I always say single family, and I do say multi-family, okay, and nothing else. The other thing I do often do is ownership info. I think ownership type. I don't. Okay, so I like only individuals. Okay, there are LLCs that would absolutely do business with you, just so you know. But I'm looking on the right hand side, the preview on the right hand side. When I hit individual, it reduced my number of properties down to only 3. Okay, Now I can choose to just go ahead and send a letter out to all three, right? I can choose to do that. Let's go back to filters. Or I can say, you know what? No, I'd rather just take this criteria out, right? And that increases the number of properties back to 17, right? That means I have properties that are owned by LLCs. So that means you have to do a little bit of extra work to find the owners of the LLCs and find their contact information. Or you could simply use the campaign button here to send out postcards. Postcards for 17 people will cost you less than 40 bucks. You could say, hey, for the next 3 months, I'm going to send letters to those people offering to buy their property. You could literally keep it that simple. Some people may think, hey, I need volume. But again, it's easy to scale up to volume once you've closed your first deal, right? So that's it right there. Now, the other thing I was going to show you under properties, I think, under property characteristics, I always exclude anything that has homeowners association. That means condos, co-ops, and things like that. It's just a little bit harder in my experience to do those kind of deals, so I exclude them. I need standalone houses. Okay, and you can see I have 17 properties just off of those criteria I can go after in that county. I can literally turn around and go under this button and set up campaigns and get them out and get those people reaching out to me. Very simple. So again, I came back here because I wanted to show you off-market deals. If you're dealing with off-market deals, this contract is perfectly fine. That's all I encourage you to deal with anyway. Okay. So your name goes here. No, not well. Your name. Sorry, the name of the seller goes here. The actual address of the property can go here. It can also be their physical property. Like for example, it could be the physical property. If you know their actual address, you can put their actual address there. So if I click on this, you can tell that the actual address for this person is different from the actual property address, right? This is the property address. This is the mailing address. This is where you want to send the address to. Now, here's one of the reasons why I only choose individual. This says administrator of veterans, but yet this property is facing pre-foreclosures, right? Maybe they took over a property. Who knows why? You just never know. Send that letter out. Okay, send the postcard out. Maybe they don't know. Maybe they actually don't. Maybe maybe they don't want to sell the property. Maybe they want to sell other properties. Maybe they know someone that wants to sell property. So when you send out this 17 pieces of postcards, this is going out there to market your business. Okay, market the idea that you buy houses all cash, no closing cost, and obviously you're looking to pick up property for a lot more lower, 65% or lower than what it actually costs. I showed you that earlier on the calculator, right? All right, good. So their name goes here, their mailing address goes here, your name goes here, your address goes here. Okay, and it says referred to as the buyer. You're the buyer, right? The words buyer and seller. Now ideally at the end of your name you want to add a sign and or. Okay, so you don't have to, by the way. Okay, you don't have to. You could say this is what I mean. Okay, it's called a sign and or. Okay, it's a little clause that you, let me see if I'm getting that. I haven't done this personally in a while, so let me see. Assigned and or. Okay, let's see. Okay, now some people will claim, yeah, just put that phrase assigned and or, not ORD, assigned and or. So and slash or, right? Just put that. That means you may decide to assign the right in the contract to other people. Some people will say you're not allowed to do that anymore. You know, there may be states that restrict that. There may be situations where they restrict that. It really doesn't matter. You can still, as long as this contract does not say you cannot assign the deal, as long as the owner who is selling the property is happy to do the deal, that means they're motivated. As long as there's no restriction per se, right? It's okay to put assign and or in front of your name. That means you have the right to assign the right to the properties. Okay, let me address this question really quickly. Let's see. All right, I appreciate you too, bro. Should you have an LLC before starting real estate? No, that's not a requirement of any type. At some point, yes, it's advisable to have LLCs. Um, it's completely up to you. Some people would argue that yeah, you should protect before, but there's nothing. You're not protecting anything if you haven't done any one deal, right? So, but yes, as soon as you close your first deal, I advise absolute. That's what I did. I closed my first deal in December 2005, and then I formed my LLC right away. Okay. And no, the closing agent did not have any problem writing the check to my personal name. I know my taxes on the following year did not significantly go up because I made a quick $10,000, right? It was $10,000, right? So I wouldn't. If you want to, feel free to create an LLC before, but it's not a requirement. Okay. All right. So number one clause in the contract says purchase the actual purchase agreement. The seller agrees to sell, and the buyer agrees to buy the property called property described in this contract. Okay. The property, basically you have to give the property address, okay, known as the actual property address, the city of the property, that means the city of records. Sometimes the city is different from the town. Sometimes the town is different from the mailing address. If you live in the United States, you've seen what I'm talking about. The actual address, the actual city you're looking for is essentially this city right here. When I click onto the details and it goes under, you scroll down here. The city in this section is essentially what you're looking for, the municipality. So for example, for this one, it will be Washington, right? And the actual address is the address. And then there's a place you may want to add a lot number and the block number as well. Okay, so you see where it says lot number and then the section number. You might want to put that, but it's not really required. Just letting you know, it's not required. But you can literally scribble that a little bit on the side here. If it's required, it can be done at closing. If there's anything that's really required, can be done at closing. The price you came up with, your offer that you came up with earlier, once you agree verbally on the phone that they would happily take that offer, this number right here, right, $207,000. That number will go here. Okay, now you can use this basically to, I think if you're looking for a contract, I think PropStream has a contract in there as well. You just want to go under help, I think, go under help and see if you can access it from there. Yeah, I think it's under help. And under help, if you don't, you can send an email to them. You can also chat with them, by the way, to give you access to a contract. Okay, that may look slightly different from this. It's basically the same thing. Okay, purchase price, put that price here. Payment of purchase price, you would basically, you can put this price less $10 here, or you could put the exact number there. It doesn't matter. A lot of this is mostly psychological, because again, if this seller backs out, yes, dare I say it, if they back out right now, even though they agreed to sell you the property, do you have the right to go after them? Yes. Is it beneficial for you to go after them? No, it's not worth your time. You need to be focused on data, contact, leads, contract. You need to be focused on that, filling that pipeline, and not trying to fight meaningless battles, right? And obviously you want to put initial, they put their initial, and then you put a closing date. I always put 30 days into the future. But you may say, but I promised them 10 days closing. It doesn't matter. You're overthinking it, okay? As long as they're motivated to sell, say, listen, 10 days, but I need 30 days because we need to do title work to make sure that the title work is clear. This is actually a fact, okay? There's no deals in reality that will probably close in 7-10 days. It's happened before, but even the title work to make sure that the title is clear of any kind of craziness takes some time. Okay, so closing to be determined. If you have a specific location, over time you can change that if you want. And then this actual section that talks about the transfer of ownership. At the closing, the seller will transfer ownership of the property, blah blah blah, legal lingos, right? Basically the actual this is just the contract explicitly stating out the fact that the ownership of this property will be transferring over. The title ownership of this property will be transferring to another person, another entity. The type of deed. A deed is a written document used to transfer ownership. So a deed will be used. So basically what it means is that just the idea of this contract is not good enough evidence of ownership. A deed is needed, right? In this sale, the seller agrees to provide the buyer agrees to accept a deed known as bargain and sale. That's essentially the title of the ownership of the property, right? The physical condition of the property is always as is for my deals, okay? Does that mean you could potentially get in trouble? No, okay? Not with wholesale deals. The person who ends up buying the property, hopefully they know what they're doing, and if they need contingencies and things like that or inspections, then in that case the contract would need to be updated for that purpose. But usually for wholesale deals, this is good enough. These are, again, things needs to be moving fast. There's no need to be worried about the extra details that retail deals would normally worry about, okay? The risk of loss, the seller is not responsible for any damage of the property. See, when they see this, actually better than what they see from a typical licensed agent, okay? That means if this property closes, the new buyer takes full responsibility of the condition of the property. Now, hopefully they will do their due diligence, right? But the idea is that this property needs work anyway, and you're looking to do a deal because it needs work. That's why you're getting 65% or lower than that of a deal of what the property is actually worth after repair. And 10, complete agreement. This contract is the entire and only agreement between the buyer and the seller, right? Between the buyer and the seller. There's probably going to be another, like if you're doing a double closing, which I'm not going to cover in this video, I'll cover that in another video. Or if you're doing a double closing, there will be another contract from B to C. This contract is from A to B. That contract, that second contract, is only between B and C. Now with this contract, if you're just doing an assignment deal, typically if you're going to make more than $15,000 on the deal, it's probably going to be a double closing, meaning two separate contracts, two separate transactions, right? But if you're making less than $15,000, most hard money lender or private lender will allow one contract, but with an assignment contract. The assignment contract simply says you're assigning there's an assignment of this contract to the right in this contract as a buyer to another person, but the terms in the contract is still the same between the buyer and the seller. You're just assigning your right as a seller, as a buyer to another, your right as a buyer to another person to be able to buy the deal, and that's what you're selling as a wholesaler. Okay. So the contract can only be changed by an agreement in writing. So again, an assignment is an actually assignment contract that's going to be in writing as well, right? So is the same thing for a B to C type of contract, like a second transaction, right? For double closing. The seller also promises that he or she has not made any other contract to sell the property to anyone else. Okay, so they're saying that doesn't mean you will be able to hold their feet to the fire. I'm just letting you know this is just formalities, okay? But it does have weight psychologically, and to make you 20, 30, 40, made me $82,000 from one deal, my highest, okay? 11, parties liable. This contract is binding upon all parties who sign it. So if nobody has signed this contract, it's not bindable. So then they sign. And that's the breakdown of the whole deal. That's the breakdown right there. That's how quick and simple a real estate contract that you use for wholesale deals. That's how simple it is. Okay. Here's what I'll tell you. If you want a copy of this contract, you can send a text to me. Let me just do this really quickly. And I'm going to answer your questions that I see there. Okay. So text me at, let me see. Let's see. And you want to say contract in your text message, okay? You want to text me at 732. I gotta get that number. 517. Okay. Because I know some of you may want to say, can we get a copy of that contract? If you want that, just give me up to 24 hours though. I'll get you a copy of the contract if you already don't have access to it. All right, so text contract, text the word contract to me at. There you go. There you have it right there. Okay. So, and that's a United States number, just in case you're watching me internationally. If you are outside of the country, you can send an email to myEmpirePRO@gmail.com. 732-517-7532. All right. So let me see here. With your vast knowledge, would it be necessarily make it easier for you to do real estate in Africa? Absolutely. Yeah. It doesn't give me an absolute, like I said, there are cultural things, localized ideas, ideologies, practices that I will have to pick up on. But the idea of real estate in general, like for example, I think in Africa, in Nigeria, for a fact, they don't call it real estate. For what I've seen, it's a strange term. Maybe estate. Maybe they use the word estate more than they use real estate, right? Or properties, So again, there are little nuances and things like that can make all the difference. That's very easy to pick up over time. You spend long enough time around. But I know the simple concept is very simple. There's properties, shelter over people's head, and people are buying and people are selling. There's a marketplace. You have to find a way to evaluate the piece of value of a property. So a lot of times, even my father would tell me I should come and buy land in certain villages in Nigeria and stuff like that. And my first question is, what's the value of the land? How do I know the value of the land in both the short term and the long term? And I want some kind of empirical data to back that up because of where I'm coming from, right? And there are ways to do that. It's not always cutthroat like we do here, but there are ways, and I will need to learn whatever that is, right? But it's the same idea, it's the same concept. It's not really that hard, okay? So yeah, if you have any questions, I will maybe hang around. Thank you, Scorpion Bradford, for being very engaged and asking questions. I appreciate that much. And without any further ado, let me see here. Let me just get my. Let me see here. I'm gonna pause that for a second. Not yet. All right, so not yet. I'm not gonna play that yet. But yeah. But you get the idea. The idea is that it's the same thing. It's the same. Like it's kind of like you learn in New Jersey. When you go to California, things may be slightly different as well. So, but it's the same concept across board. It's not really that different. Once you master it, you master it. If you learn real estate in Africa, you come here too, it's going to be a lot more easier for you than somebody who is starting all the way from scratch. All right. But there's still going to be some things here and there that you need to learn to make it easier. All right, without any further ado, I'm just going to call it a day right now. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'll be posting a lot of videos. Make sure you're watching every single video. Go ahead and sign up for the 2 free books, the free masterclass. Sign up for the free trial of the real estate investing software. And that's realestatemoneysecrets.com, empirebigdata.com. Please hit the like button if you haven't done so. Share this video with people you know will actually benefit from it. And don't forget to subscribe. Hit the subscribe and turn on the notification button. And hopefully you've been enlightened and educated. And I will see you on the next one. And peace.